All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Another episode of the Hawk Vision podcast. You know what it is. Wherever you're listening, however you're listening, I could not be more appreciated that you're here to rock with us. I'm your host, Chuck Hawkins. Um, like, share, subscribe. You don't want to miss this YouTube channel that we're building out. There will be a lot of information and tons of great things coming. So make sure if you're watching this, you subscribe to the YouTube channel, along with liking, sharing, and subscribing all across the other platforms, your Apple Podcast, Spotify, all that good stuff. Now, with that being said, one of the purest joys in creating this podcast platform is that we're growing a certified network of heavy hitters and rock stars that you can learn from to help you on your journey to chase your dreams now. Now, when we do this, I occasionally ask a guest who they think would be a great value add to the show, because I want to make sure you guys are getting the absolute best content. So someone that meets the criteria: believer, visionary, hustler. And our next guest was referred on two separate occasions. She is a brand and social media strategist behind some of your favorite entrepreneurs and some of our past guests. Not only does she have an online community that is tens of thousands strong, but she's a powerhouse in her field and has a track record of proven results. She's the owner of one of the fastest strategically growing agencies around, and she helps women grow trustworthy brands that get them paid. She is the world famous Bianca Tatum. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for the introduction. I love that. Thank you for
Absolutely.
having me.
No, man, listen, it had to happen. We have I've had two of my favorite guests, and I love them all, but two of my favorites, they have hit me up on multiple occasions like, what's going on? Like, why have we not done Bianca Tatum yet? And I'm like, listen, the woman is busy saving the world one company at a time. Like, we working on it. We working on it. So glad you're here.
So glad to be here. Giving me a reason to get dressed up.
That's so funny. Yes, during the prelim talk, I shaved, I did the whole little thing. I said, let me make sure I show up right, because I want to make sure I represent for Bianca Tatum when she jumps on the show to drop all these gems.
Let's get it.
So I will jump right in. We got to do the obligatory question first. When did you know it was time to start your own journey into entrepreneurship? Was there a moment, a feeling, a sale? What solidified the choice to launch?
Okay, let me give you some backstory. I've always known I would have a business since childhood. As a child, I thought it was going to be a fashion designer, because I drew the little outfits on the stick figures. And maybe grade school, I thought I was going to be a famous writer and public speaker because I like to write and talk to people and give advice.
Yes.
But in college, I knew for sure that I was going to be starting something that deals with personal branding and social media marketing, because I studied marketing and public relations in school, and I was very involved in college. And just about every organization I was a part of, I was doing something related to branding and social media marketing. I was actually a personal brand girl before I realized what that was. I was organizing photo shoots. One of the organizations I was president of, we wanted to take a more diverse approach. We were an all-Black organization. We wanted to let everybody on campus know that they were welcome. Okay. I went to PWI, and people thought that this organization was, this is just for the Black students. And so knowing that I wanted to, the people that I reported to, they wanted to change the vision. I'm like, okay, I have some white friends. I have some friends, some women that are people of color. So I reached out, and I organized a whole photo shoot and brand campaign to change the narrative of the organization. And I'm like, wow. Looking back, I'm like, wow, I've helped rebrand that organization, and I helped launch a full brand campaign. And that's when I knew I was going to be going into business for myself. But, life happens. It makes you feel like it makes you doubt yourself. The imposter syndrome set in, and the stresses of your family. You need to get a job. You need to get a job. You need to get a real job.
A real
So
job.
yeah. So coming out of college, I got me a real job, but I was always doing something on the side.
Okay.
And the thing for me that was the turning point about getting serious, the job, I worked in finances.
Okay.
For some reason. It was nothing of what I studied, but I worked in finances coming out of college, and going into my second year, going into the second year, I got transferred to 10 hours away from home. I lived in Illinois. And I was doing a great job there. I had stopped doing freelance because I was so focused on the work.
Okay.
But I knew deep down that there was going to be more, but I wasn't being proactive about it while I was up there. And I lost my job. I got fired. I got fired.
I love it. I love it.
It was a very silly reason. A customer said I was contacting her too much. So I was doing my job a little too well. And I got reported by a customer, and they let me go. And so I moved home. And of course I started applying. And I just could not get past the second interview for any company I was interviewing with. And so I was kind of, I wouldn't say forced, but I had to make ends meet. So I started, the hustle culture. I do whatever, like whatever you need, come at me. I got you. And it was that, it wasn't until one of my family members hired me as his full-time nanny, to where I was able to make enough money to like pay my bills and be comfortable. It wasn't until that point where I was able to really get serious about a business. I hired a blog coach. She introduced me to the world of coaching and ebooks, and it kind of just took off from there.
Wow. I love the part of where you kind of naturally evolved, right? Because a lot of people say, they have similar stories like ours, where we kind of knew, I was selling candy in high school and elementary and all that stuff. And we knew, right? But we didn't know. But there are these things that happen in life where we connect the dots and we look back, and I was supposed to be doing this for myself. I was supposed to be putting it together. Can we talk about, before we jump into the pure greatness that is Bianca Tatum, how were you able to gain clarity on the strategy side of social media for yourself before we offered it, to other people?
Yeah. Hiring help, honestly. I've never been shy about paying people for stuff. Like I said, I hired my first coach because I wanted to launch a blog, and she introduced me to the world of coaching and creating ebooks and stuff like that. But I had been doing full-time freelancing for a full year. And that's when I got noticed by a couple of social media agencies. That's how I started working again in the first place. A company in Birmingham, reached out and they hired me. But I can't say, well, the strategy side, I kind of found my own way of getting organized and I found my own blueprint for navigating social media. But the strategy side and approaching it as a business, I was first introduced to that through Maya Elias's Impact Weekend. While I was living out here in Birmingham, my first year here, I follow Maddie James. I love Maddie. And she posted Maya, that they're sisters. I'm like, let me go check her out. And she posted a video that I just fell in love with. And I retargeted ads, of course. I was introduced to Impact Weekend, so of course I applied. We got on the call and I'm like, yes, this is a match made in heaven. And so getting access to her training courses and then being in a room with women who are making like thousands of dollars a month, it just opened my eyes. I'm like, wow, this is much bigger than I envisioned. So that weekend, like opened my eyes to possibilities. And she was able to give me a much more structured blueprint. And so I was just putting that to use. And I hit a wall again, because it's like, you think you know stuff, but then the more you know, like, oh, I
Yeah,
did
those
not
other
know.
areas pop up.
Yes. And so when 2020 started, I just started just throwing my money at people. Like, I got my website redid. I got an email funnel in place. I hired a business coach one-on-one to kind of help me structure my offers. And then I met Kashira, and I
Yes.
joined the founder circle. And joining the founder circle, I feel like it gave me, it was like the icing on the cake.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been experiencing this entrepreneurial life for 2 years now. I've gotten a taste of what I think I want to do, but she was able to help me just pull it all together and give me a set blueprint on how to get there and how to scale for the future. So I appreciate everybody that I've hired and worked with,
Yeah.
but more importantly, that was a transformational program for sure.
Wow. Wow. We're gonna have to cut that clip out to make sure we send it to her.
Yes.
Right, right.
Yes.
Um, can we talk about let's so now let's jump into the difference between a social media strategist and a social media manager, because there are there are two different things. And I think a lot of people think that when you have your business, all you need is a social media manager and they can, run and do everything. But if the content isn't there, if the strategy to tell your story isn't right, then they're just kind of beating themselves against a brick wall. So can you talk about that and what a strategist really does?
Yes, this is my favorite thing to talk about. So last year I made a tweet that ruffled some feathers. I said, a lot of y'all, I think I said y'all, I'm from Mississippi, so I'm country.
That's
I was like,
okay.
a lot of y'all are just content schedulers. You create content and you schedule it, and that's it. You're not an actual strategist. You don't understand strategy. You don't understand how to track your analytics and uncover the story behind those numbers. And you don't know how to take that information to guide your next steps. So the difference between a social media manager and a social media strategist, a strategist understand your business goals on a fundamental level. So before I give you any content idea, before I talk to you about a content calendar, anything, there's a couple of things you need to know. So the first thing, you need to have a thorough understanding of the company's brand foundation. What does that mean? You need to understand their brand messaging. You need to understand their brand promise, their brand positioning, meaning how do they fall within the market? How do they compare to their competitors? And what makes them stand out? What makes their audience choose you?
Right.
And you also need to have a thorough understanding of what the hell they're even offering. How can you create something for someone if you don't know what they're offering or what they're selling?
Right.
And the next two things you need to have a really good understanding of their audience. Who, not just a broad definition, but I mean, yes, I work with Black women who are online service providers, but
Sure.
on a deeper level, I work with Black female entrepreneurs, but on a deeper level, you have to be an online service provider. So that lets me know that if you are selling products or you have a storefront, you're not my ideal client. And if I don't know that, how can I create content for you?
Right.
So you need
Right.
to understand their target audience on a deep level. And of course, you need to understand their brand identity, the visuals. Social
Yes.
media managers like to start with, oh yeah, give me your logo, give me your colors, give me a couple pictures, and I'll crank some content out for you.
Yeah.
So that's the first couple of things you need to know as a strategist. And then you need to understand, what is your business goal right now? Are you looking to build brand awareness? Are you looking to increase sales? Are you looking to grow your email list? And based on that, how is social media gonna help get you there? Brand awareness, of course, social media is gonna put you in front of people brand
Right.
awareness for lead generation or building up your email list. Social media is going to help you generate leads and get people to your lead magnet and into your email list so you can send them through your funnel. A strategist knows what questions to ask so you can pull this information out, and based on
Got it.
if you're trying to generate sales, if you're trying to generate leads for your email list, or if you're just trying to build brand awareness, that requires different type of content.
Right.
Every post is not the same. It doesn't all hits different.
It is different.
It hits different.
I love
And
it. I knew it was going good when the hands started doing like this. That's how I knew. That's how I knew
I'm
we
talking
was
my
hitting the sweet
hands.
zone.
And so a social media strategist, you know what to create based on the goals.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's
Okay.
the difference for me.
You know, I think it's important to identify that, because I think a lot of entrepreneurs, dream chasers, online personalities, whatever the case is, we have this goal of just getting the most followers. And of course, there are, you know, some are able to successfully transition that into sales and all that stuff. But what happens when you increase your follower count, or, you know, someone even like myself, where we've been able to transition into tons of countries and got 90% of the states, and now it's more so of honing in on where our actual sweet spot is with our guests. Like, I know my demographics, but now when you talk about lead generation and things like that, where's the disconnect that entrepreneurs run into with being able to tell that story?
Yeah. So let me just make sure I'm hearing it right. We started out talking about main
I know I said a
goals.
lot right there. It's I guess my main question is, how do we transition from, let's say we do the lead capture, how do we transition that into sales and the vision that we have for our own companies?
Yeah. So a huge part. I'm so glad I have email expert friends. I've been learning so much about the power of email marketing and sales funnels. So social media followers, that's never that should never be the end goal. I mean, it's important to some people, but
Yes.
it's definitely a vanity number. Followers, let me just start there. Followers is a vanity number. Followers does not translate to dollars at
Yes.
all. That was a mistake I made starting out. I feel like I was focused on looking good. That's something that comes natural to me.
As they can see.
But I was focused on creating cute content in the beginning and
Gotcha. Okay.
creating events that I think people would like. And I wasn't really focused on building up my audience outside of social media. And so I had to go back to the drawing board a couple of times until I saw that I got it right. And I recognized that building your audience, it takes time. It's not an overnight thing. It takes work and it takes effort. But social media can be a huge part of that. So that's the first thing about the social media followers. Followers does not translate to dollars. We just keep saying that. I always say that. But okay, so once you've gotten somebody to say yes to you by giving you their email, it's important to have your back end system in place. I always think about somebody going viral. So
Right.
like say somebody going viral on Twitter and hundreds of thousands and millions of people are following you now. They're coming to your website. Do you have the infrastructure in place to talk to 1,000 people in one day? No. Do you have the
Right.
infrastructure to tell 1,000 people how you can help them, how your product can help them, how your service can help them, how your digital product can help them? If not, that's when using the power of email marketing is going to really help you. So once somebody is in your funnel, of course, you're giving them what they ask for. So it's called a lead magnet. You're
Yes.
giving them free information that's based on something that you want to offer at the end of the funnel. You're not just giving out free information because you think it's cute or you think it's cool. You got to
Right.
think about, what am I selling at the end of this, and reverse engineer that. So you give them what they ask for. You introduce yourself, you introduce your brand, but while you're doing that, you're sprinkling in your expertise and your knowledge, and you're priming them for an actual sale and for an actual offer. So that's how you can use the power of social media and translate that into dollars down the road. But you have to have the proper infrastructure in place.
Yeah. I think that's strong. A lot of us don't. I think a lot of entrepreneurs have, their business set up, their website, and then we tend to hope for the best, right? And hope is not a strategy. To that point, in different entrepreneurship circles, we hear how you have to find your tribe or your avatar. Do you think that various businesses lend themselves to certain platforms? Like, should fitness coaches only be on Instagram, or do you think that a good strategy transcends platforms?
Definitely transcends platforms. Definitely.
Okay.
I wouldn't assign one platform to one type of entrepreneur. I say what works for the individual. I know Fit Beast, that brand, she's very active on Instagram, but she's also hella active on Twitter.
Oh wow. Okay.
And I love that. I love that about her brand. And I wouldn't be surprised if she was on Pinterest as well.
Nice. And the reason I ask is because I know that I've had guests on where they're like exclusively on LinkedIn or exclusively building their Facebook group. And when we talk after the show, it's always, I need to build that channel out. I need to do, and I'm like, you probably can repurpose the content, right? And the face, you probably can repurpose the content. And I think the difference is we just don't know, right? We think that each platform, LinkedIn should have a certain LinkedIn special messaging, and Instagram should have Instagram, TikTok messaging. When you have your clients, is there a start point that you like to use? Is there a platform that's a start point for you?
Instagram.
Okay.
Instagram, that's the platform that most people like to start with. But I always say do not stay there. People are loyal to platforms, and you don't want to miss out on somebody that may be more interested in LinkedIn or Pinterest or Twitter or Facebook just because you only want to focus on Instagram. Now, I will say it's hard to focus on building multiple platforms at once. So I wouldn't recommend, trying to start, nurture, and like launch Instagram at the same time that you're trying to do for YouTube or Pinterest. Okay. Like it takes a lot of energy unless you have help. But a lot of people start with Instagram. Okay. Because there's so many different ways to connect with your audience on Instagram, and there's normally the go-to. Like when you meet somebody, you say, do you have an Instagram?
Right. Instagram is definitely king right now. There's no fighting that at all. As much as I love Twitter, Instagram is king. Me
too. But you said something when you said repurpose. I am a thorough believer in repurposing. I was just tweeting about this the other night about how you can get so much content from one blog post or one live stream. Okay, this podcast episode, you have video, you have voice. You're gonna put this on your podcast platforms. You're gonna put this on YouTube. You can get snippets. Put this on Instagram as a video.
Yes.
You can do a live stream of the talking points. You can turn this into a blog post. You can turn this into a couple Pinterest posts that links back to YouTube, links back to your podcast, links back to the blog. Then you can turn that blog into a couple pieces of micro content for your Instagram feed, for your Facebook page, for your LinkedIn page. Then you can turn that into some Twitter threads. Okay. Tweet, link it back to your podcast, because Twitter is a very link-friendly platform. So absolutely. I want entrepreneurs and brands to get over, I have to create something different for each platform. No, ma'am. No. Or I have to create something different for every single post that I make this month. Hell no. You do not have to do that.
See, I think that's the hard part though, right? Is people and again, the reason that we have this podcast is to help shorten the learning curve. So I'm so glad that you went there with the repurposing, because that's what we get caught up in, right? We get caught up in, all right, I need something to talk about this week. I need something to talk about Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for 5 different platforms. So what does that look like planning wise to repurpose that content?
Okay, I'm glad you asked. So, part of my social media strategy is building out a publishing template, and that is just a blueprint for what type of content you're going to be putting out each week. And it start with content pillars. Some people call them content buckets, but content pillars are basically umbrella themes for the type of content that you're putting out. So somebody like me, I might have social media marketing, lifestyle, entrepreneurship, my entrepreneurial journey, education, and direct promo. Okay. So because I have these 5 content pillars, it's like, okay, I'm gonna be posting once every, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Yes. I don't have to think about, okay, what am I going to post for 30 days? I have to think about what are 4 things that I can talk about for this content pillars for the month? What are 4 things that I can talk about? So on and so forth. So it's like you can batch within each of these content versus thinking about something different for every single day of the month.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a hack. This interview is over. The rest you will have to pay for. I'm putting up a paywall right now because that's enough for everybody to have you can learn and run with it from there. Oh my God, I'm excited right now. So I've never heard it put like that though, the content pillars, because you watch some of the other gurus, air quotes, right? And they tell you have to have 30 different topics, or like I'm not gonna say her name, but I've watched one and it was like, you want to do food one day, you want to do what you learned about entrepreneurship the next day, and the third day you want to do family, and literally 20 plus days of different topics. And I'm like, doesn't that stray away from the messaging? Right? That strays away from the messaging at some point.
It can be exhausting to do that. And I also like to look at each month. You think about what am I pushing? What am I trying to sell? Right. And just reverse engineer from there. If I'm trying to promote a group coaching program, I'm going to think about what do I teach in this group coaching program and give each week a theme. This is another way to look at breaking down content. So based on what I'm teaching, I teach 6 or 7 different things in my group coaching program. Let me pick 3 or 4 of those things, and I break it down each week. Yeah. And by the end of the week, you are warmed up to the information I've given you, and I'm directly promoting it. That's another way to look at creating content. Also, just reverse engineering. What are you trying to sell? Okay, how do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, no, that's huge. That's important. One of the things that I love the most about your business and your brand is that you are actively telling people that they already possess the brilliance that they need to be profitable. But why don't we know that already? Why don't we know we have a talent? We know we're good. Why don't we know that we have that everything we need already in us? What does that look like thought process wise?
I run into a lot of geniuses, a lot of people who are very smart with what they do. But because what they know is what they do, they don't understand how they can communicate that in a way that's beneficial to others. So sometimes, a lot of times I think is that these people don't know what they're working with. And they need somebody like me that can help them communicate it, help them put the pieces of the puzzle together, and then teach them how to sell the puzzle. I really think it's just that they know what they're good at, but they don't have that branding or marketing background to understand how to package this and how to put it out to the world in a way that resonates.
Yeah. Yeah. It's putting the puzzle pieces together. Right. I
Mm,
think that makes sense. Right. Because like if we look at, myself, there are things that I'm really, really good at. I can have a conversation with a squirrel and make sure that squirrel is giving good game on how to find, the best nuts in the field, like I can do that. But I am also what they call low tech, high check. Right. So I am always looking for the hack when it comes to technology because I know I don't have the patience nor the understanding to do, all of the things that some of my competitors are doing. And to that point, I think it's important that, what you're doing is you're saying, listen, it's okay to not know what you don't know. Just outsource it.
yes. Yes.
Just outsource it. We get caught up in that a lot. I want to make sure we talk about Brand Your Magic TV. Where did that come
Okay.
from, and how did you decide to add that to your offerings?
Okay. Well, last year when the pandemic started and the quarantine kicked in, I wanted to find a way to connect with my audience and give them something to look forward to. So I started Elevate Your Brand, which was it was an Instagram live series where
Okay.
literally every Friday night I was teaming up with another Black woman that was killing it in her field, and it picked up. I did it for the month of May. And people were really looking forward to it. I was getting a lot of great feedback. I enjoyed getting dressed up. I was looking forward to Friday evenings. I had my wine. It turned into like a girls' night.
Gotcha.
So I did
Gotcha.
it. I did it again in June and I did it again in July. And that was just amazing. I got a lot of traffic. I got some sales out of it. I got some clients. And so I just knew I wanted to do that again. I had to put a pause on it
Yeah.
because it was just getting overwhelming. I'm doing it every single week. But I did some research and I saw that Elevate Your Brand, it was somebody else is using that, like the
Mm,
domain wasn't available. And so
gotcha.
I kind of thought about something else. So that's where Brand Your Magic TV came from. I wanted to create a separate platform because my audience, they like seeing me on my page. They
Yeah.
like seeing a whole lot of graphics. Ooh. So I decided to create a separate Instagram page where I'll be doing the lives from there. So everything that I create around the series can stay on that one page. And of course, I wanted to evolve over time, but for right now, my goal is to build up that Instagram platform.
Gotcha. Gotcha. How important has mentorship been in your entrepreneurship journey? Like, I think we always try to, as an entrepreneur, you have to be everything to your business, right? How important has it been to have a mentor or a coach for you and your success?
Oh, it has always been important. I've always had mentors from high school.
Mm,
Um, in high school, I was mentored by college tutors, a part of
okay.
the program I was a part of. And in college, I had maybe like two or four different mentors. So I always understand that there are things that I don't know.
Yes.
There are things like knowledge-based things that I don't know, but also things about life that I don't know. And going
Right.
into entrepreneurship, I knew off the top that I needed a mentor. And during sometimes my mentor were my peers, people who are kind of in the same space as me, but we held each other accountable. We uplifted each other. We taught each other things, and we were just that support system there.
Yeah.
But I knew I knew that I wasn't going to be able to get by with piecing together freebies. You know, when you're starting out, you can't afford to hire people
Right.
all the time.
Right.
So you're getting all the freebies, you're trying to piece stuff together. But I like this analogy of a wedding cake. You are not going to find a picture of your dream wedding cake and go try to do it yourself. You're going to hire somebody that understands the recipe and that understands the process, that have the tools to bake the cake and have done it before.
Yes.
So that you can get that dream wedding cake. And so I knew from the beginning that I wanted to hire somebody. So as soon as I was in a position to work with somebody, I took advantage of it. And every time I work with somebody, whether it's in a group setting or one-on-one, I feel like I unlock another piece of who I'm becoming.
Nice. That's strong. To that point of trying to do everything yourself and then finding somebody that's done it, um, can we talk about how you balance your hustle and your entrepreneurship to your health and your mental space, right? Because I think it's important, like we try to do everything and it becomes overwhelming. What does Bianca Tatum do to protect her mental space from all the chaos that can come from running a business?
Oh, I had to get kicked in the butt for this. So I had no balance or no boundaries at first. I would stay up and pull all-nighters to finish stuff. I was making myself available all the time to clients. And even when I was working at the agency, I was experiencing a lot of stress
Okay.
because I just wanted to get stuff done and I didn't want to hold people up and I didn't know how to let people know. I didn't know how to set boundaries. And even after I was working at the agency, I'm just so driven sometimes. And when I get an idea, I want to like get this idea fleshed out. I want to get to work. I want to create. I was still pulling all-nighters and my partner would have to, he was also an entrepreneur as well, but he would have to tell me, Bianca, go to sleep. Bianca, don't stay up all night. Bianca, don't do anything today. Relax. Go do something. Go have fun. Go out. Yeah. I had to hear. It's like you hear something, you're like, okay, I hear you. But when you're not here to like monitor me, I'm gonna do what I want to do.
When you leave, I'm gonna be talking again.
Right. And so I was still doing what I wanted to do, staying up all night, not doing anything for me. And it caught up with me. Like last year, I don't know, it was bad, but like everything just caught up with me and my mental health was not where it needed to be. And it was just like the quarantine really shook me. Like, Bianca, you really need to sit down, breathe, and get a hold of not just your physical body, but your emotional and your mental body as well. And now I look at entrepreneurship from a holistic standpoint. I can't show up as the person I need to show up as if I'm not taking care of everything. I need to eat, I need to sleep, I need to exercise, I need to relax and goof off. I need to hang out with my friends. I need to be nurtured. I need to nurture people. And most importantly, I need to make time for my spiritual journey. I wasn't considering all of these things that make me feel balanced. And so now how I balance giving myself office hours, giving myself a bedtime, giving myself a cutoff time for just communicating with people at night, giving myself Saturdays to just do whatever I want to do, exercising, eating right, and planning breaks.
I love it. And I think it's something that we have to learn to do because a lot of us, we feel guilty, right? If we take time for ourselves. We haven't gotten to where we're trying to get to yet, right? So how dare we take this Saturday off and go to the barbershop, hair, nails done, all that stuff. Like, how do we work like how do we work past that? If we know, and I think, type A personalities are different because we're driven, we want to succeed. But we feel guilty when we aren't reaching the goals that we have. So I like how you put that in terms of looking at it holistically, because it's hard to be successful when you no longer find the joy in doing what you're doing.
Whew. Absolutely. Absolutely. Last year was just, it was just, I had to, I don't know, I had to be real with myself and like, you're not paying attention to yourself the way you need to. It's
Yeah.
not just about this business. This business needs your time and it needs your attention and your focus, but think about it, think about the long game. You don't have to implement everything right now
Right.
because your health is deteriorating or your relationship is deteriorating.
Right.
And so like now I value relationships the way that I did before I went into entrepreneurship, meaning I'm making time for
Love
it.
it. I love it. I love it. How does it feel to know that your name is ringing out when people talk about greatness and entrepreneurship and social media strategy as a whole? Because like, for instance, I've had what 50, 60 entrepreneurs on this show, and your name comes up consistently. It's no, you, this is the person you need to talk to. This is the person that, like, how does that part feel?
It's great. It's humbling mostly because I've it's like as a kid you just have the dream, you have the vision, but you don't really put much thought into how you're going to get there. And I feel like for a long time I thought to myself, I don't really want to be famous, but I want to be known for some things. And I've got my birth chart read once, and it said that I'm gonna be not really famous, but I'm gonna be very known for the things that I do.
Yes.
So um I've always had a strong feeling that that would happen, but I know I didn't know how it was gonna happen.
Mm,
So knowing that people recognize me and value what I have to say and respect, what I do, it just confirms that the vision God gave me about myself is gonna come into fruition. And I just gotta
yes.
stay on the path that I'm on, not get too ahead of myself, stay humble, stay hungry, and always give value.
Yeah, I love it. Those are two of my favorite words, value and vision. I listen, we could do a whole episode on those two. And one of the parts that I love the most, in terms of your entire offerings, is that I'm doing my research, right? Because it's one thing for people to say, no, you gotta have Bianca on, you gotta rock with her. But doing my research and I'm looking at, even in your store, your digital projects, all these things, there's so much value in just the part that you have automated, right? Like I already know, like I'm a customer coming because I'm like, we talked and I saw what you were doing and we had that other conversation. But the amount of value that you bring to the table, I think, is something that everyone that has an online presence is looking for. And so I think that, to your point, the vision that you had for yourself, is self-fulfilling, right? It's self-fulfilling because you enjoy doing the work. One, two, you're not necessarily searching for the limelight, but you get lost in the work, right? You kind of enjoy putting the pieces together. And I am an absolute
Yeah.
fan. I am a fan. Like,
Thank you.
absolutely. Um, Before we wrap up, right? I want to respect your time, but before we wrap up, what is your favorite part of owning a business, entrepreneurship? What's your favorite part?
Being myself.
Do tell. Do tell.
So I'm from Jackson, Mississippi, South Jackson. I grew up in Wood too. I don't live in the hood, but I'm hood adjacent. And
Okay.
when I get clients, when I get students, I let them know I'm like, I'm a little ghetto and I'm a whole lot of ratchet.
That's so funny.
So if like don't feel the need to be perfect or like put on a front with me because I'm not gonna do that with you.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part about having a business, that I can literally be myself and people still rock with it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's strong. And that's important because most of the time in our 9 to 5s, we don't get to be ourselves, right? We got to put on the corporate work face and the work voice.
Oh, listen. Working at an agency where I was the first Black girl, a part of the team.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. I can be a little myself, but not for real.
Right, right. You got to turn the music down when you pull up. That is super strong. When did you know that this was something that you could scale in terms of, you've had your coaches and you had your business and the clients are coming, the checks are coming in. When did you know that it was something that you could scale the way you wanted to scale it?
The founder circle. So going into the founder circle, I wanted to work on a one-on-one service.
Okay.
But by the end of it, literally, I think it was our last coaching call, I was telling Kashira, I was like, I really want to train social media managers because the one-on-one service that I was working on, the next step would be for them to have a social media manager, because I basically give them the strategy, I give them the systems to be organized, and I give them a full 30-day content bank.
Yes.
And the next step would be to find somebody who can implement this on a consistent basis. And I didn't want to social media manage people anymore. But it was like, who do I recommend that I trust to understand strategy that I can hand this closed client off to? And so
Right.
I told Kashira on the I'm like, I really want to like train people. I've had people show interest, but the perfectionist in me, she was like, well, why won't you do that? And I'm like, well, I need X, Y, and Z. She's like, no, you don't. She's like, just go live and just be low key about it. And I did that. This was back in November. I got on live 2 nights in a row, very last minute. I wasn't done up or nothing. I was like, hey, yeah, I want to train, 4 women on becoming social media managers. I want to help you with your systems. I want to help you understand strategy. I want to help you with your packaging and pricing, and just help you level up. And I have 9 students. We're wrapping up. And it's been an amazing experience. I understand from the founder circle that this is the thing that I want to scale. This is that I want to help people who have an interest in social media management become social media strategists and do it in an organized way. Do it in a way that they're giving value. Do it in a way where they're not undermining and underpricing themselves. So that is where the social media fairy school
Let's
was
go.
birthed, and that is going to be the thing that I really focus on building in 2021.
Now we talked about this social media fairy school because we did the whole we're helping women entrepreneurs. Nobody ever helps the guys. Like I want to. We need, like, can we have a social media gladiator school? Like I need something.
I like it. I like it.
I need something, like I need a sword or a machine gun or something. I think we always the men never get help. We and I know we don't ask for it, but the men never get help. We want some help too. So I just thought
That's
I'd throw
fair.
that in there.
Fair. If
Um,
a man is interested in the social media fairy school, we can work together if we are a good fit.
if we're a good fit.
I won't call you a social media fair. We can pick something that's a little more masculine.
Yeah, yeah. They get to be gladiators.
Okay.
Little tiny gladiators with wings. They'll be they'll
I
do it
like
like
that.
that. I love it. I love it. What does the word vision mean for Bianca Tatum?
The word vision for me is where do you see yourself when you allow yourself to dream and when you don't let the world put you in a box.
Wow. Wow. That's huge. Nobody's ever put it like that. And I think that if I'm being honest, that's probably one of the best answers I've gotten because we always ignore the box that life tries to put us in, right? Because we're so busy trying to survive while we're in it that we ignore, that we're actually in one. I love that. That is absolutely strong. Um, how does Bianca expand and strengthen her belief?
Um, my Bible, my devotionals, prayer and worship. But outside of that, I've been very interested in learning about, the other things God has given us to get to know ourselves. I've realized that the better I know myself, the better I know God,
Yeah.
and the better I understand, his vision and purpose for my life. So in 2020, I've definitely gone on a deep self-awareness, personal growth journey, and a couple things that I practice: meditation, of
Okay.
course. I pay attention to the moon. I'm learning about the moon. I'm learning about my birth chart and why I am the way that I am. I've been learning about the practice of body design, and
Wow.
that's just based on your birth chart. Um, I can't even explain it, but
That's so funny.
I learned a couple weeks ago that something in body design, I have like an open thing, and that type of person means that you have a natural sense of safety. Like you can go into situations, and when it's safe, it's safe.
Yeah.
And I've always been that way. I've been the person that if I feel that a situation is okay, or I feel that a space is okay, I'm gonna be comfortable, and I don't have the need to have my guard up. And that's always been an issue with other people. Like, you need to pay attention. Like, my partner, he would be like scared shitless. Bianca, you don't pay attention to your surroundings. Like, I feel like you're gonna walk outside and get kidnapped, or you're
Right,
gonna walk into
right.
a situation with people you don't really know like that, and you just got a feeling, and they gonna do something. I'm like, but I do be having a feeling. And studying body design helped me to understand that part about myself. So
Yeah.
just studying astrology, learning my birth chart, observing the moon and paying attention to the energies that different phases of the moon brings helps me to understand my emotions, like how they fluctuate throughout the month.
Gotcha.
And when I pay attention, I can show up a little better, and I can be prepared for things. Like right now we are in a full moon. I know for me, when full moon comes, I get really creative. I get a lot of energy. And then right after the full moon, I get tired.
Wow.
So I'm
Wow.
eating, I'm eating right and getting my rest. So when that time comes, I can offset it.
I love it. See, for me, when when the coffee wears off, and then it's a wrap for your boy. Uh,
That's funny.
uh, getting ready to close. I want to go back to the social media strategy part, because I think that it's important for businesses that want to show up and be profitable to understand how important it is to have that strategy. How much time does it take to come up with a good strategy for, let's say, a 90-day campaign or a 30-day campaign?
It depends on if you're trying to DIY it or work with an expert.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Fair
um
enough.
if you're working with somebody and they have everything they need to know to build out their strategy, it can literally take it can take anywhere from like 45 minutes to an hour and a half to build out the strategy. And it could take, another couple of hours just mapping out the content.
Gotcha. Okay.
So the strategy is different from the content. The strategy is the game plan, the blueprint.
Right.
The content calendar is you actually going in and writing out all this
Creating
content.
it out. Right.
Implement.
And the
Yes.
repurposing and the, yeah,
Yes.
and that part.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I think that's the part that people forget to do. Like I remember I spoke with when we had Kashira on the show, she would say that she takes like Sundays, right? And her Sunday is just her content strategy day. And she'll do the strategy in the morning, and then she'll edit videos all day, or she'll do, write out the content all day. And from that, I learned myself, there are certain days where I'm going to be editing videos, or where I'm going to be talking about different things. And so I always learn from my guests, and I think that that's the best part of it. Um, Last question is, when somebody is going to hire Bianca Tatum, what can they expect?
You can expect a party. I'm just kidding.
She said a party. I love it. I love
Just
it.
kidding. But I like, you can expect to feel a breath of fresh air. You're gonna feel like you're getting exactly what you need. You're gonna feel like you got the missing puzzle piece, and you're gonna be really confident in yourself, in what you're going to be putting out, because you got all these questions answered, and you're getting the clarity that you've
Yeah,
been lacking. So you're going to expect clarity. You're going to expect a couple of wow and aha moments, and you're going to expect to unlock another level of creativity, because after working with me, you're gonna realize what's possible, and you'll be able to recreate that for yourself
I love it.
again and again.
I love it. That is so strong. I think there's nothing better than working with someone and then realizing what's possible after, and still having that good working relationship. Like, I think that's the best. Building a network and a community, I think that is the best outcome you could have for. Um, wow. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been rocking with the Hawk Vision podcast with the world famous Miss Bianca Tatum. Bianca, let everybody know where they can find you online.
Okay. My website is biancatatum.com. All of my socials is Bianca Tatum _. You can find me on Clubhouse, Instagram, especially Twitter. I'm on LinkedIn. And if you go to purchase anything in my shop, you can get 20% off using the code #HawkVision. This is just for y'all.
Just for us. Listen, visionaries, I promise you, if you have a new plan, if you have a new product that you're launching, you do not want to do that without first talking to Bianca Tatum. The strategies and the way that she's going to help you guys implement is out of this world. You can definitely expect to be profitable from that. But more importantly, you will have an additional structure with those 5 pillars to your business. You've been rocking with the Hawk Vision podcast. Chuck Hawkins, Bianca Tatum. Make sure you share this with other visionaries just like you. Thank you so much for for jumping on with us.
Of course, of course.
All right, we are clear.